What if I told you that one of the most controversial prophecies in the Bible was impossible for almost 1900 years, and then suddenly became possible again in a single day? Not metaphorically, historically. Tonight, we are going to look at 5 ancient biblical texts written thousands of years ago and compare them with 5 events that happened in the modern world. A nation returning after nearly 2 millennia, deserts blooming, knowledge exploding across the planet, the entire world connected in real time, and one prophecy that may be closer to fulfillment right now than at any point in human history. And before you dismiss this as religious hype, understand something. I am not asking you to believe anything. I am not predicting the end of the world. I am not making political arguments, and I am not here to manipulate you emotionally. I am simply placing ancient texts beside documented history and letting the evidence speak for itself. Because whether you are religious or skeptical, once you see these connections, they are difficult to forget. So tonight, we go deep. These are 5 biblical prophecies fulfilled in the last 100 years. Prophecy 1: The Return of Israel. Let's begin with the most famous one. The year is 593 BC. Jerusalem has fallen. The temple has been destroyed. The Jewish people have been conquered by Babylon and dragged into exile. To everyone alive at the time, Israel looked finished, erased from history. And in the middle of that catastrophe, a prophet named Ezekiel writes these words: "For I will take you from the nations and gather you from all the countries and bring you into your own land." That is Ezekiel 36:24. Now, pause for a second and think about how impossible that sounded. Ancient nations disappeared constantly. The Philistines disappeared. The Moabites disappeared. The Edomites disappeared. Once a people lost their land, scattered across empires, absorbed into other cultures, they usually vanished forever. But the Jewish people did not vanish. In 70 AD, Rome destroyed Jerusalem again. The Second Temple was burned. Hundreds of thousands were killed or displaced. And for nearly 1900 years, there was no Jewish nation, no king, no homeland, no sovereignty. The Jewish people were scattered across Europe, North Africa, the Middle East, and later the Americas. Empires rose and collapsed. Languages changed. Borders shifted. Wars consumed continents. And yet, somehow, the identity survived. Then came World War II, the Holocaust, 6 million Jews murdered. And only 3 years later, on May 14, 1948, the official State of Israel was declared. For the first time in nearly 2,000 years, a Jewish nation existed again in the ancient homeland. Think about how historically unprecedented that is. A people group dispersed globally for almost 2 millennia, returning, reforming a nation, reviving an ancient language, and re-establishing political sovereignty in the same land. There are historians, even secular historians, who admit there is no close parallel in human history. Now, to be clear, people debate political implications constantly. People disagree over theology constantly. But the historical fact itself is undeniable. An ancient text described a scattered people returning from the nations to their land. And in 1948, that happened. You evaluate the connection. Prophecy 2: The Desert Blooms. Now here is where things become even stranger. Isaiah 35:1 says, "The desert and the dry land shall be glad. The wilderness shall rejoice and blossom like the crocus." In 1867, Mark Twain described the region as desolate, neglected, and largely barren. But in the last century, the land transformed dramatically. Swamps were drained, forests were planted, advanced irrigation systems reshaped agriculture. Israel became a global leader in desert farming and agricultural technology. Today, it exports produce and flowers worldwide from regions once considered infertile. A land once described as lifeless now produces abundance. You evaluate the connection. Prophecy 3. Knowledge will increase. Daniel 12:4 speaks of a time when knowledge increases rapidly and people move to and fro. For most of human history, progress was slow. Then the modern era arrived. In just over a century, flight, space travel, digital communication, and global internet networks emerged. Information now doubles at a pace unimaginable to previous generations. Entire libraries fit in a pocket. Ideas spread globally in seconds. Technological progress compounds rather than increment. Whether coincidence or pattern, the acceleration is undeniable. You evaluate the connection. We are only halfway through, because the next prophecy involves something humanity has never experienced before in history: global simultaneous attention. And the final prophecy is unfolding in real time right now. If you are still watching, you are the exact kind of viewer this channel is built for. Subscribe to Bible Depths. No hype, no fear, just deep exploration of ancient texts and modern history. Now let's continue. Prophecy 4. Global witnessing. For most of history, global real-time observation was impossible. Events were local. Information was delayed. Entire generations lived and died without knowing what happened across oceans. Then technology changed everything. Television, satellites, and the internet created a shared global experience. Now billions can watch the same event simultaneously. Something ancient texts described in vague but striking language now matches modern capability in a way earlier centuries never could. You evaluate the connection. Prophecy 5. The Gospel to all nations. Matthew 24:14. This gospel of the kingdom will be proclaimed throughout the whole world as a testimony to all nations, and then the end will come. For most of history, this seemed impossible. Languages were fragmented, regions were isolated, communication was slow or non-existent. In 1900, the reach was limited. Today, translations, digital tools, satellites, and global networks have pushed that reach to unprecedented levels. Nearly every language group on Earth has some form of access to Christian teaching or scripture. For the first time in history, global communication infrastructure makes worldwide dissemination technically possible. Whether fulfillment or coincidence, the timing is historically unique. You evaluate the connection. Some will see confirmation, some will see coincidence. Both reactions are expected, because the real tension is not just in the texts, but also in how modern history appears to intersect with them. And whether that intersection is meaningful or accidental is where interpretation begins. No predictions, no fear tactics, no forced conclusions, just ancient writings and modern history. The connection is there. What it means is up to you. Tell me what you think in the comments. And if this made you think differently about ancient texts and modern events, share it with someone who enjoys deep questions. Subscribe to Bible Depths for more explorations like this, because sometimes the past doesn't feel like the past at all.